Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your brother Rex Nazarko, Executive Director of the American Muslim Engagement and Empowerment Network, also known as Amin, coming back to you with live coverage of the 2024 presidential election and exploring different facets of the Muslim community and Muslim activism and their perspectives. Today, we are joined by two fantastic and very active student leaders, mashallah. Brother Ali, who is the president of the Wayne State University Muslim Coalition, and Brother Mahmoud, who is a Wayne State University student activist alongside Brother Ali. Thank you guys so much for coming. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you for having us.
So inshallah, we're going to have a very good and productive conversation today. I'm going to open it up with the first question. What is the overall student sentiment within the Muslim student community at Wayne State, at least the university that you attend, regarding the 2024 presidential election? How do you see the dynamics of this election impact students?
So specifically on the grounds, considering like the different people that we have invited to Wayne State, we've invited people from the Green Party. We invited Bilal, where he gave a halaqa there. He gave a small talk there. And also we invited Abandon Harris there as well. And we also had a education event with you, which you came in as well. So we truly recognize like the different viewpoints. We want to engage with the different people. But on the grounds, like just speaking with the students and going through the chats and whatnot, it seems as if the sentiment is definitely leaning towards a third party. And this is definitely very, very important for us as student activists, people who have been in the movement for a long time, not just knew something with Palestine, but something that we were doing even before that for different issues that concerned Muslims, specifically on Wayne State University's campus, and at times a broader scope as well.
Not much to add. MashaAllah, he did a good job. But I would say the presidential election, alhamdulillah, it's transferring student activism to just activism in general.
Okay.
So
what do you mean by that?
It's, for example, just students are doing rallies with, like he said, people like Abandon Harris, where they come out and give a talk. This is not necessarily campus activism, but this is national. It's a national movement.
So you're saying that the students are essentially espousing their efforts to national Muslim efforts and general Muslim sentiment.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is on the ground, essentially, you're seeing that Muslim students are engaged.
Yes.
Do you think they will vote?
So the majority of students, from what we see, they do plan on voting, and they do plan on voting for a third party. Some people have a concern on ideological points on whether or not the permissibility of voting is there or not. But majority of students, at least at Wayne State, the sentiment is that they do plan on voting, and they do plan on voting for a third party.
Is there any sentiments you've come across or any pushback from Trump people or from Harris people? What is that looking like?
So, at least from the Harris side, there are always canvassers standing outside of the student center, whereas the location for majority of students to come and do their work or sometimes relax. And a lot of the Muslim students are usually there. They're always engaging with people. And on one specific occasion, a former congressman tried to convince me, at least, to vote for Harris. I don't know if I can say their name, but it was a failed attempt. And
another politician. I don't know if you can say the name either.
Oh, it's actually, yeah, two.
An
attorney general from a different state. So two different people. But we are willing to engage with different people. We were 100% willing to talk to different groups about their perspectives as well. We're open to these types of discussions, but from our hearts and from what we're seeing and from our understanding, it seems as if the best option for us as student leaders, activists, is that we would like to vote for a third party. This is not the organization giving an endorsement, though, but this is something that we see as a personal sentiment of ours.
I agree 100%. So not only is our students willing to vote for a third party, they're willing to mobilize behind the third party. And there was, today we did canvassing. I told you, we did canvassing. Most of the people that were canvassing were students from Wayne State University. They're canvassing for Jill Stein and abandoned Harris. It's يعني خلاص صارت عادة يعني it became normal.
So I'm going to shift a little bit to the kind of work that you guys have been doing on campus since the genocide in Gaza began in October. Wayne State did have an encampment, and Wayne State the Muslim students have actively been engaging with the administration. How do you think, number one, the dynamics of this election have impacted all of that? And number two, have there been conversations around the actions of the Biden-Harris administration with regards to student censorship and the quelling and silencing of protests and student activity with regards to Palestine?
I think when it came to the idea of the encampment, the first thought wasn't necessarily gonna be about what the elections were looking like.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even something that we were considering. That's not something that I think me and Mahmoud were even thinking about at that moment. We were more so focused about the encampment itself. And even before that, like, there's Wayne State historically, even though with its densely populated Muslim population, it's had instances of discrimination. For example, a person came and stepped on the Quran there. But at that moment, we weren't really thinking about the elections or their implications to us at the encampment or even afterwards. We came to realize that stuff and how it relates to us only recently, like 2 or 3 months ago. It's not something that we were worrying about.
And what are those thoughts, if you feel comfortable breaking those down?
So after the encampment, we were focused on what it looks like for the university to divest in terms of just the university. And after doing further research, we recognized that it is only possible, or it could be, it's not only possible, that a possibility is to do it at a state level, because that's how South African apartheid and divestment from universities happened at that moment. So at that time, we realized that we do need to engage more and more in the political environment, not just within our university, but within our state and also at a national level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why a lot of us, we did get involved in different campaigns that we thought that would be beneficial to the cause, the Muslim cause. That's really like, we weren't sure. We wanted to believe that the Democrats were, gonna align with us at some point at the DNC with Uncommitted and at different moments. But more and more we came to realize that this was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have solidified ourselves almost to the point that we recognize that, both parties don't hold our interest.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think any party necessarily holds our interest. And I don't think we've been looking at it as, where do our interests align? I think what we, our students and Muslims, have to shift is what can we use this party for? And we should no longer aim to be a, backing one party type thing.
A monolith.
Yeah, no, that's it. That time is over. Now, if the Republican Party is good for us and there's a Republican politician is good for us, we mobilize behind that politician because they are good for us. And as soon as they're not, we leave him.
Mm-hmm.
This is the difference between power, and this is when they start doing stuff for you, even when you are not mobilizing,
Mm-hmm.
because now you have power over who's in office and who's not in office. And this is something, like you said, is after the encampment, it's something we realized when University of Michigan tried to mobilize for Hawaida. It wasn't until then we realized certain politicians started approaching us for Board of Governors for Wayne State.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they realized, students are willing to mobilize and students are willing to. So this is something that can be taken to a national level, and we're talking about something so small that shook the Board of Regents and the Board of Governors at Wayne State and UMich. And now we see it with Abandon Harris and what you're doing with Amin. It's shaking the Democrats.
The current
yeah.
political
Yeah.
infrastructure
Yeah.
that we've been espoused to for 20 years. So, okay, I'm going to ask you guys, kind of riding off of the encampment and the coalitions that we saw emerging from the encampment. I was there actually 2 nights, and I saw Brother Ali. I know you were there. I didn't see you, but I did see Brother Ali running around, mashallah, and kind of. I know you guys were leading the charge, but there was a diverse group of people, and the majority were actually. I wouldn't say majority, but there was a lot of non-Muslims.
Yeah.
How do students plan on tackling coalition building from this point onward in a way that, well, essentially ensures you agency for your own causes? Right?
There was an incident, because a lot of this stuff is not coalitions.
Wait, just one thing really quickly. Me and Mahmoud were definitely leaders of the encampment, but also the SJP girls, they were the ones that were, so we want to give them their credit.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, yeah.
No, the sisters, mashallah, have been doing fantastic
Yeah.
work. I think,
Better than us.
I think there's a wake-up
Yeah.
call needed for a lot of the men
Yes.
in our community to kind of stand in the front lines of the community issues. But mashallah, inshallah, we'll get a chance to also interview some of the sisters in the future as well.
Yeah.
So, but please proceed, speak a little bit.
Because when it comes to the different groups that were involved, there was some groups that not only were they not in the coalition, but they were a barrier for what we wanted to do. And their aim, in my humble opinion, was to divert what we're doing and to ruin what we're doing. And one of the sisters, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless her, she was alone, and they found her and they surrounded her to harass her. And these were people who we thought they're in the coalition. So I think it's we have to be very mindful when forming coalitions, that the coalition is not built around, let's be a coalition for power. The coalition is, we have this cause. You either stand with this cause or you don't, and you stand with it the way we're doing it. This is a coalition. It has to have barriers, and it has to have grounds built upon Quran and Sunnah. And those who agree with it, and they can help us. Those who don't, with all due respect, you may have your own views on this cause, and they may align with us at times, but step to the side. And it's harsh. It's something that's harsh to say, but we've seen what happened at the encampments, and it wasn't just our encampments. We talked to other encampments in universities across the U.S. who all had the same issue, where people would come in and they would aim to take over and co-opt the encampment and make it about something completely different than what's going on in Palestine. And this is not coalition, even if they are there. And funny enough, when anything bad happens, they're nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, they weren't there at the time of the raid. Even I wasn't. That was the only night I decided to go home. But yeah, that's definitely the case. And we do recognize, and we do want people to recognize that this is not a civil right. It's a human right issue, and we want people to stand up for this. But we are the leaders in this, and they should follow us through the way that we want. That, as long as it's feasible, we're not doing anything like crazy or harsh or demeaning towards them.
I think one of the key things we've seen unravel is the censorship that has taken place. So in the University of Michigan, we saw charges brought against 11 students who were protesting for Palestine. We've seen nationwide efforts to silence a lot of the students who are taking up this cause, and they're happening under a Democratic administration, which quite frankly has issued no reaction to it so far. And that's the brutal truth. I'm not trying to promote Republicans. I'm not trying to promote Greens. I'm simply stating that we have seen no reaction from the administration. How do you see you, as Muslim students, being on the front lines, not just of a Palestinian Muslim cause, but at the front lines of a very American cause, which is the defense of the First Amendment?
Yes. So, at least from what we've seen at Wayne State University, what they do is they don't necessarily just outright tell you, hey, no more free speech. That's not what they do. What they're going to do is they're going to suffocate you with policies and get you to the point where you are no longer able to exercise your free speech to the same way that you used to. For example, right after October 7th, not even a week had passed by, they issued a amplified sound policy saying that students are no longer allowed to use amplified sound in Gullen Mall, which is the area where a lot of protests happen and an area where a lot of people come and speak.
And it's the same area. يعني, this is just to show the nifaq
Hypocrisy,
of the university. It's the same area where people had on microphones cursing the Prophet ﷺ and stamped on the Quran. The same area. Subhanallah.
So you think these were targeted specifically towards you?
Yes. So this policy was created. Now you can only have amplified sound at Chatsworth, or which is completely like away. They're saying, "Oh no, it's a huge field. It's a huge field." But it's not where most students are at. It is in the corner. It kind of just looks like students are just there gathering, and the sound doesn't project that well in that area. And to be quite honest with you, if 100 people are chanting and they're not using a megaphone or a mic, it's still it would be a lot louder than one person on a mic. So not only is their policy like illogical, it doesn't make sense because if you have that many people, but it's also it was targeted towards us. Initially, the policy was no amplified music, but it was changed further to say amplified sound because of the increasing protests. And then after the encampment and as things progressed, they started having reservation policies. You cannot gather at a specific place unless you have a 1 week reservation. You can't address a crowd, which is crazy. Like, they want us to, protest, but in their confines, in the way that they want, so that it doesn't create this type of reputational risk for the university. Because once that happens, then it goes on the news, and then people find out about it, and then enrollment rates drop, which, no offense to Wayne State University, it's struggling with. It's on their budget books. We need more enrollment. We need more people to come and come to the university. And it's really odd,
But a big chunk of that is Muslim students.
Yeah.
So why is it that they're actively going against the interests of essentially their main student body at this point?
It's absurd. It's almost as if they don't even they forget about optics. They don't even care about like their finances. There's 2 Starbucks at Wayne State University. No one goes to them.
None.
It's dead, completely dead. And just something that I remembered really quickly. The encampment got shut down on the basis that it's a safety hazard and it's a fire hazard and whatnot, right? None of those concerns actually existed.
Not only that, there was a fire marshal that we welcomed and we
Twice.
continued to welcome to come make sure that there's no safety concerns, and every single thing he said could be a safety concern, we fixed
it.
We fixed it.
However, the university did not shut down the school when there was a active shooter report that was at the Welcome Center at Wayne State University. Only the Welcome Center shut down, but the school didn't shut down. When there was an active shooter, so apparently an active shooter is not as big of a concern as students protesting for Palestine, which is crazy.
And there was one time where the day before, a dead body, this was a while ago, but this is because we went and researched and when the university was shut down, and we found out it was only shut down when we said something they don't like. But there was one time where a dead body was found in their bathroom.
This was
Old Main.
Old Main.
Yes.
Old Main, yes.
I read the news, yeah.
They didn't even shut down the school.
Right.
They didn't care. The hypocrisy it's like going on and on and on and on with the university.
So, to bring the attention back to the elections, there's been a lot of conversations about the impact that students are going to feel from the results of November 5th. How do you guys see it?
I think for me and Mahmoud, we recognize that it's always been a uphill battle.
Yeah.
I could care less if Trump is there, Kamala is there, Stein is there, whoever is there. As long as the university is complicit, as long as the United States government is complicit, we will continue our advocacy, our education, our campaigning, our strategic movements wherever we need, no matter what. We do recognize that there's been different things that Trump has said, that he'll criminalize and deport anyone who speaks out about Palestine at universities, and something recently.
But at the same time, and this is another question I want to ask: are students buying into the fear factor? Because
No.
realistically speaking,
No.
we
No.
haven't seen much of the needle shifting from the Democrats either,
No.
right?
No.
And the current criminalization that
Yeah.
happened was under a Democratic
Yes.
Attorney General. So how
Yeah.
do you see all of this dynamic and all this
For the
rhetoric
most
and
part,
talk?
the students, they're done with Democrats. So now this, when we talk about Trump, it's not a criticism of, go vote Democrat because Trump is coming. It's okay, guys, we're not going to vote Democrat. We're going to rally behind the third party, which might enable Trump to come. So let's start preparing from now for when Trump to come. If he's saying he wants to criminalize us, when he comes in, what are we going to do if he criminalizes us? We'll start preparing from now. But to say that, some people, they want to say that we're scared of, be scared of Trump, be scared of Trump. Let him come. Let him come, let him bring his worst. I refuse to vote for someone just for my own comfort, while the people in Gaza have no comfort. What kind of comfort is this? And this is not safety, this is not amana. This is you're selling your pride, you're selling your izzah. That's what they want us to do, to vote Democrat. Sell your izzah, sell your pride, and vote Democrat. Because, at least you'll be able to talk and they won't say nothing to you. No, they killed 200,000 according to LACNA. How could you support them? Even if Trump comes in and he criminalizes what we're doing, it's still better, just for our own moral, our own nafs, to have that happen and him come in, than to rally behind someone and sell our izzah. This is crazy to me. I don't know. No student I talk to is rallying behind Kamala, not one.
And even if it's the case, like, Trump's going to come and it's going to be a lot worse, under a Democratic administration, I think it's NYU, Zionism is now is protected under Title VI
Yeah.
at NYU. So, I mean, that's basically like, if you tell African Americans that, the KKK is now a protected identity under Title VI, which is absurd. That's Zionism is the same thing.
It's not even a religion, it's a political identity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right? So the espousing Zionism with Judaism is completely nonsensical. We have Christian Zionists in the United States.
Yeah.
Some of them more overtly Zionist than a lot of Jewish people
exactly.
that we've met or talked to. So that's a very good point, actually.
Yeah.
Why is a political identity being classified as essentially a racial or a minority identity?
Exactly.
That makes no sense.
Yeah.
But so what's the plan? What's the strategy, right? Because obviously we're not going to see much change, very likely, with regards to students from either Republicans or Democrats. The third party chances, realistically speaking, are not very high in terms of winning the election, so that's unlikely. You said that you are willing to take it upon yourselves to continue this, right? What is that going to look like?
So, there's, at least at a university level, there's two aspects of it, right? There's, communicating with the university as much as possible, but then there's also, like, fighting for your rights. Like, we still have to fight for our rights, and I'm being quite literal about this, about fighting for our rights. We don't have Eid off at Wayne State University. We don't have halal food standards the way that we want. We don't even have our own prayer room. It's a reflection room, which is supposed to be accommodating to everyone, even though Wayne State University is extremely densely populated in Muslims. And then on top of that, we recognize, the biggest thing right now for us is definitely the Palestinian cause, 100%. So for us, we are willing to do civil disobedience as much as possible, as long as possible. And we will still keep open communications with whoever wants, genuinely with whoever wants. We kept open communications with even like Democrats, which I told you about. Like, we're willing to engage, but bring something to the table. Like, we're not gonna just sell our souls to you.
Yeah.
So you're bringing up some very fantastic points, actually. I wanted to speak also a little bit to how students, well, number one, how they're engaging the administration right now, but also to the fact that you guys, time and again, right, students have been the heart of the any sort of moral movement in the United States, be that the civil rights movement, be that the anti-war movement in Vietnam, and now we're seeing this develop as a anti-war movement centered on the genocide in Gaza and the extension of the war into Lebanon, and the region, right? Muslims, subhanAllah, I think one of the things that we're noticing in this political cycle, we are seeing Muslims take the forefront of leadership, not just for Muslim values, for American constitutional values, for the integrity and the moral soul of the United States in every facet, be it leading the political charge, be it embodying the third party, be it punishing genocide and genocide enablers, or be it something as basic as the First Amendment of the Constitution, which is freedom of speech, assembly, petition, religion, all of which are essentially somewhat
Yeah.
being violated on college campuses.
Yeah. So, in terms of communication with the university, I want this to be extremely apparent. The university is not engaging with us. We are engaging with them. They've never tried to engage with us. We have consistently tried to engage with them. And even for us, at least me and Mahmoud, we haven't just looked into these types of issues. Something even recently that we were looking into was how no one has been criminalized or no one has been punished for the Flint water crisis, which nearly 100,000 people were poisoned. Which something that we do plan on hopefully pursuing that as well. But we recognize that as Muslims, we have a duty to uphold justice, you know, even for anyone who's being oppressed. This is something that we have to do. This is something that these are our neighbors. And if we want to have an effect globally, we need to make an effect locally as well.
Yeah. I think the local is more wajib than the global. So I do think يعني, even in this, you talk about the students taking the forefront and, you know, something that's the core of the American Constitution. I don't think that's what it is. I think the fight in Gaza, right, by the people and by the resistance, has become a symbol of a fight for freedom everywhere, even in the universities. So it's not really so much that we're taking leadership for and we're, you know, embodying the American Constitution. I think they are. Because if censorship is still started there, and we're seeing it now, it's spilling over to here. There's a book called Military Orders of Israel for 1967. It's like a PDF of all the military orders. It's the same things he was mentioning the university did. No gathering, no speaking to a crowd, no this. So you're seeing it.
So this is a very interesting comparison. You are essentially saying that the resistance movement in Gaza and worldwide that's developed around it is standing up for American values more than the United States itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the United States is standing up for Zionist values.
Yeah.
More than Zionism is.
This is a
More
very-
than Zionism.
yeah,
If you look, يعني, people say, like, today Gaza, tomorrow us. That's it. And people, you know, they brush it off as something, oh no, that, you know, maybe, you know, you never know. People, but it is. Go look at as the occupation, you know, gradually expanded, right? The same exact thing is happening to us in a different way because we don't have to leave our lands. There's no physical walls, but it's the same exact thing. What we say is,
it's very Orwellian in nature.
It's what's next?
Yeah.
يعني if Gaza falls,
It's a strategic approach to, number one, diluting the efforts behind the anti-war movement for Gaza, and number two, ensuring that they never come up again.
yeah.
So, what's next? What are your plans, right? November 5th, I'll ask two questions actually, and I want you to give me either two different alternatives, or if they're the same alternative, then give me that. But November 5th, Donald Trump wins. What does November 6th look like for you? And then November 5th, Kamala Harris wins. What does November 6th look like for you?
There is a protest November 6th. I will attend it, whether it be Trump, whether it be Kamala. And just attend their protest and still fighting for the same cause.
Yes.
Because the fight isn't to put someone necessarily in power or someone take someone out of power. This is يعني, a subcategory to the fight, right? It's a step. It could work, it could not work. Wallahu a'lam, right? We do what we can and we leave the results up to Allah Azza wa Jal. If Kamala wins, then she wins. If Trump wins, then she wins. As for mobilization, not much will change. Not much will change, despite who wins. And the only thing is if somehow Jill Stein gets, you know, all the votes and she wins, and then we talk about Latif, she's a liar. And that's it.
Yeah.
But in terms of Trump and Kamala, you know, people often talk about the difference. I often see no difference between the two.
Yeah.
Just one has done the genocide and one says he will do the genocide.
No.
So there's really no difference. Once Trump comes into office, at least we punish someone.
So another thing, like, the Democrats love to quote is the Muslim ban. You know, the Muslim ban is horrible. You know, it's horrific. So the legislation that Trump used to basically validate the Muslim ban was a clause from the 1952 Immigration and Nationality Act. It was 212F to basically enact the Muslim ban. Biden did the same thing with the asylum ban. He used the same clause from the 1952 Nationality Immigration Act, 212F, to legitimize an asylum ban. Even though it may not be the same thing, but like the usul or the principle was the same.
Actually, I think one of the things that a lot of people are not informed about is that the executive order that Trump branded as the Muslim ban was actually a Obama-era policy that Trump just adopted and then put into motion and used for his own purposes and campaigning and rhetoric. But I think it speaks to the point that whether red or blue, not much changes, right?
Yeah.
But I think a key thing here is that we are seeing change come from you guys, from the beating pulse of America and its future, right? From the heart of what you would call the universities, right? The heart of the military-industrial complex, the heart of empire, however you want to call it. That's the brain of everything that's going to sustain these things in the long run. But that brain is actively challenging the body now, right?
So I think one thing that did happen from October 7th until this point for the student movement is what happened in Bangladesh, where it was college students who led that movement against Hasina. And, you know, seeing that really, like, it gives you this type of motivation. It gives you this type of courage that, you know, we are truly the ones that are the forefront of this movement, and we really need to push. Because from us doing this, we also are inspiring other people as well. I don't know if you feel inspired, but
I mean, I talked to you guys last week. I think you know where I stand.
yeah.
No, definitely students have been a massive source of inspiration and heart for Muslims, non-Muslims alike to kind of rally behind this. And we see longevity, we see sustainability in this through the students. You know,
Inshallah.
we see that this is not just a blip that's happening now, and then November 5th comes, it'll go out. Gaza is going to still be there on November 6th, unfortunately. Inshallah, it's not. We pray that the war, Gaza itself, inshallah, the war is not present on November 6th. But the reality is, it's looking like it's going to be. So we see hope and we see sustainability in this anti-war movement building through the students, you know? So everything that you guys are doing is essentially paving a path for what liberation may look like in the future. And like you said, it seems like the two people behind us and any intimidation tactics that have come from these camps are not working very clearly.
Oh.
Is there anything else you might want to say to people watching and to?
I do want to say we are getting a lot of credit, but I think we're standing, alhamdulillah, on the shoulder of giants. The people who came before us, they've done a lot of work that often goes unnoticed. And there's a lot of people, يعني, alhamdulillah, you know, I came here today, but there's a lot of people that aren't here who do a lot of work that, you know, they're not seen and stuff, and they're not students. Like, whether it's constant shura they give us, or they ask us, what are you researching, and we give them something, and they give us the right book to read.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, we are genuinely standing on the giants of the shoulders of giants. It's not the, you know, student movement. I think the reason why it's Muslims is because what the Muslims in the past did for us, and what we got to grow up in the masajid and the communities, alhamdulillah, and what we were taught is very different than what other people were taught and what they grew up with.
So, last question. What do you want to say? Imagine Donald Trump and Kamala Harris were watching this right now. What do you want to say?
Well, I don't think I can say it.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say it.
I think a different approach to each of them. I think I wouldn't even engage with Vice President Harris, but with I genuinely, I don't know what to say. I don't think I would engage with either one of them. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think you know, if they wanted to engage with us, yeah, but I wouldn't want to engage with either one of them. I think that the people who have tried to engage, especially with Harris, it's been pitiful. From our community.
How so?
From our community, you know, begging almost, oh, please, we want to meet with you, please, we want to talk to you, and you know, and some people saying that my community deserves engagement, you know, especially from the Democrat side. They have clearly shown that they are not interested.
It's fadiha. It's embarrassing. Wallah, I feel like I'm, يعني, the whole thing at the DNC in Chicago, I felt so embarrassed that there was actual, you know, pro-Palestinian people that went there to talk. I felt embarrassed. Wallah al-Azim, I did. And then they got mad when they didn't get to talk. Yani, this is like me, yani, imagine your friend comes up to you and says, my wife is pregnant with a guy, with another guy's child, and she won't let me name the child, and I'm so... What do you mean? This is how it is, wallah. This is an embarrassment. These people, khalas. Yani, we say, you know, abandon Harris. No, Harris abandoned us. That's it. Listen, this is it. This is the situation.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Even the engagement that was recently done with the Shuyukh and Trump, you know, even though Trump said whatever he did, they're empty words. We've seen his track record, and he's not committed to anything. He's just, oh, there will be peace. Peace for who?
Yeah, that's a good
Peace for who? You know, he's saying peace, but peace for who? Peace for the Muslims there? Peace for the Palestinians?
And
No.
what does peace mean? Yani, imagine I go, there's like there's a court and you're the judge. And there's a rapist and the rape victim. And the rapist comes and tells you, I want peace for everyone. No more jails, no more rape. What'd you tell him? This is not peace. This is letting them get away.
Yeah.
No, it's time for justice.
Yeah, what does he mean by peace? Like, is he going to institute a policy? What policy does that look like? Is he going to change a Section 6 accord in international law to a Section 7? The United States has that power to do that.
Explain that a little bit, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of Section 6 and Section
So
7.
a Section 6 policy within the UN is almost like a suggestion that we suggest you stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a speed limit, except there's no enforcement behind it.
A recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
Yeah.
You know, we recommend that you stop killing people, and there's been plenty of those. A Section 7 is enforcement behind it. That if you don't stop, there'll be consequences, and whatever those consequences look like. But I'm not too sure about that. But this is something that we could see. Like, this is a possibility that, you know, any one of these candidates, if they're willing to go out and say that this is something that we're willing to institute, then, you know, maybe we'll consider.
Yeah, wallah, maybe. Maybe, even that, maybe. And I gave him my conditions to how a candidate can win me over, but I can't. I'll tell you after, inshallah.
Well,
Yeah.
I think your sentiment is pretty clear, and I think to be honest with you, this is the general sentiment that the community has been reflecting in this presidential election and in this entire situation over the past few months. So Tuesday is very close. We are waiting to see how this is all going to play out and what kind of agency Muslims are going to get from it and how determining of a factor we will be.
Yeah.
I believe we've already been, by the way. Starting from the national conversations of candidates speaking to the power of the Muslim vote and analysts speaking to the power of the Muslim vote, to issues as local and as driven locally as yours, such as politicians on the local level, regions, governors,
Yeah.
coming and now taking into account the power of Muslim students.
Yeah.
So I think regardless of how November 5th is going to look for us, there's victories that we have gotten, there's challenges that are ahead. We are all going to face them together, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So with that being said, to our viewers and listeners, Jazakumullah khair, thank you so much for joining. And Ali, Mahmoud, thank you so much for
Thank you
joining.
so much for having us.
Jazakallah khair for having
Thank you.
us.
And may your efforts continue strong and be rewarded, inshallah.
Allah,
Jazakumullah
Jazakumullah
khair.
khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.